Forbes India, the Data Circle, India's Changemakers, presented by Snowflake.
Hello and welcome to Forbes India Presents, the Data Circle, India's Changemakers in association with Snowflake. I'm Ridu Bhandari. India is home to over 1,700 global capability centers, employing nearly 1.9 million professionals. What stands out is the remarkable growth. GCC export revenues reached $64.6 billion US dollars in FY24, a 40% jump in just 1 year. And these centers are no longer just back offices of the world. Over 50% now drive full product mandates, while nearly 30% of them are global hubs for AI and analytics. Bengaluru leads this shift, accounting for over 40% of India's GCC footprint, powered by world-class tech talent and, of course, a thriving startup ecosystem. With that context, let's dive into our theme for today, Unleashing Innovation in GCCs with Tech. Please join me in welcoming our panel of experts right here in the Silicon Valley of India in Bengaluru. I am pleased to be joined by Vishal Srirama, India Head of BSH Global Digital Services, Rajesh Puneyani, Vice President Technology and Site Leader, Kenvue India GCC, Ranjeet Santhakumar, Co-CEO, Societe Generale, Global Solution Center, India, Sujit Cheruvatath, Managing Director and Head of GCC Markets at Snowflake, and Ganesh Mahadevan, Chief Information and Digital Officer at Bosch Global Software Technologies. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us here today. It's a pleasure to have you. Well, you heard the stats. India is home to a lot of global capability centers, and they are all thriving here, innovating for the world. So I'm going to start by asking each one of you to just give me one-line thoughts on what you think of the GCC story within the India growth story. And Vishal, if I can start with you, please.
So India growth story. So let me tell you this. I think with the stats that you just mentioned, and given the fact that I think they're having a CAGR of about 11 to 12% of increase with the GCCs being set up in India, India is poised to be the digital powerhouse for any kind of digital transformation that's required across all the organizations in the world. And I think it's going to be more about AI that's kind of driving forward, and with the AI talent workforce that's available here. And this is just not about the workforce, right? I think the entire ecosystem that supports it is why the GCCs are thriving in this location.
What's your thought on that?
The GCC stories, obviously, no matter whichever acronyms or letters actually you call, GCC, GIC, GDCs, and there are a whole lot of acronyms there. The world headquarters and the world businesses are not operating unless, of course, they have a GCC center somewhere in India. So the GCCs are actually driving that kind of a business and technology transformation for the world, which obviously has evolved over the next 2 decades. And in my mind, obviously, the story is here to stay, and the story is here to continue to become stronger as we continue to build the business and technology and the domain acumen as well.
All right, the story is here to stay. Ranjeet?
GCCs are a key machinery that is suffusing economic output and value-driven employment in India.
Sujit, what about you?
I think if I were to put it in one sentence, I would say it's an indispensable engine of high-quality talent for global technology, business transformation, R&D, and of course, value creation.
Yes, absolutely. And final word to you, Ganesh.
I think we're value multiplier, I would say. And the best part of GCC, right? When you look at it, GCC is a new coining of term. So the return on value is the quintessential why we all exist, number one. And number two, we are the bridge of trust when you look at the organization, right? So we really create value across, be it anything what we do, be it software, be it AI, and be it the future of the organization. I would summarize like this: the value multiplier for now, next, and new.
Well, I'm going to pick up on that value multiplier bit and come to you, Vishal. Now, at BSH, of course, a lot of innovation happening as far as, digital transformation is concerned. Give us a glimpse of some of the breakthrough initiatives that have really moved the needle for you in terms of, true value creation, like Ganesh just talked about. Traditionally, of course, we had this perception that, we are just the cost centers here sitting in India, we are the back offices. Today, we are the brains. So give us a sense of, how that has really shaped up at your organization.
So let me give you a little of insights in terms of what kind of innovations currently happening, right? It's just not necessarily about GCCs, but product innovation that we are doing as a technology arm for the enterprise. Now, our products are pretty much the home appliances products, which in the past were traditional products, just doing the same thing, right? Washing, or it's just kind of your dryers in your home. But today, it's no more about just doing the same repeated jobs. It's got so personalized. There are certain customers who basically want a certain cycle. They want it to be operated at a certain time. So a lot of data that now we're kind of capturing, right? To understand saying what is the level of the hyper personalization that we need to provide. So there's data that we're collecting through an app called the Home Connect app, which we built. It kind of helps connect with our devices. And on top of it, we are able to kind of invoke actions using that. I'll give you two examples. One being on our Siemens IQ 700 series of ovens, where today you may in a house when you're probably baking or roasting pizzas, this every person wants to have a different level of roast, right? So there's so much of data that's going into these applications that come back, and we can actually tell saying whether you want a roast level 3 or roast level 4. And for every person in the house, you can actually now do that. You're talking about washing machines. You just want to load it. You don't want to really come and say, okay, how much of detergent do I want to use? But today, the systems, the products are so intelligent that they can actually measure the level of soil. They can actually talk about saying the level of water hardness, and then talk about saying what is the level of detergent that I need to kind of dispose into the system. So AI is influencing products to such a stage that it's no more those dumb products in the system, but actually intelligent products that can make your life a lot more easier.
Absolutely. And as far as generative AI is concerned, any specific examples of Gen AI as well?
So Gen AI, I think it's one of the train that we all have to be on. So much of data lying, and then for marketing specifically, we use it quite a bit. So we have um, our own internal Gen AI chatbot that we use. In fact, I should say that even for me preparing for this particular session, it helped me because it kind of gives me all the information around what's there across the entire ocean of BSH, right? And we're able to kind of chat with it. We're able to kind of summarize our information. We're able to kind of build out a lot more content, which is a lot more rich. The marketing team is able to utilize it to come back and say, okay, where do we want to go, and then do our focused campaigns and everything. So today, if GenAI, we probably shouldn't be seeing us as any more of a manufacturing organization, but it's like a technology-led business, leveraging anything that's across the scale in the spectrum of technologies available today.
Ganesh, coming to you, your largest software development center outside of Germany is right here in India. So give us a sense of how, Bosch moves from lab experiments to safety grade AI, innovations or experiments that eventually get scaled. And is there any particular innovation that has, taken shape from India that you're particularly proud of that has been scaled globally?
I think many, I would say. I think when you look at it, Bosch is known for the innovation that Bosch has done for the world. I think Bosch has touched every individual when you look at it across life, from the time you start, be it automobile, be it home appliances, be it healthcare, right? Having said that, for every product that Bosch manufactures, BGSW have a role. And for all the products that Bosch manufactures, the engineers sitting in BGSW have had a footprint towards that. And that's the pride moment that BGSW takes about it. We're a very young organization when you look at it. We are a 26, 27-year-old organization. And before the GCC word is coined, PGSW have been envisaging this even before 27, 28 years. And Bosch came to India, even India, before India was born as the independent India, right? During British India time. So that's the history what Bosch and India has. That's the history what we carry forward as BGSW. Now coming to the innovation, there are many, as I told. And I think now we are at the very pivotal stage where the technology is really transforming and touching into every part of work streams that we are doing, not only from the social aspect, but also from the engineering aspect, innovation aspect, business process aspect. So we wanted to be the AI first organization down the line next 3 to 5 years. And when we look AI first native organization, we have to go to first principles and redefine the way we wanted to operate. So thou shall do this, thou shall not do this. So we are at the stage of redefining the way we operate, redefining way we have the talent nurtured towards the future. So having said that, AI first for the future is number one on the business area and the engineering area, and number two on the corporate area. These are the three areas where we wanted to redefine the AI first. And of course, there are many products where we have had a role towards the innovation.
All right. Shifting gears, coming to financial services now, Ranjeet, Societe Generale had recently rolled out a separate entity called SocGen AI, which is within the group for large-scale AI deployments, clearly, showing that AI deployment, harnessing AI is really top of the priority list for the C-suite. Now, as far as India is concerned, give us a sense of how Gen AI and AI are transforming some of your customer journeys. What are you doing with it? Any particular experiment or innovation that you are really proud of?
Sure. Yes, Mridu, we've created this new entity called SocGen AI, and the focus is on large-scale AI transformation. At the bank level, we are looking at AI from 4 dimensions. First is AI for client journey. Here we are reimagining client onboarding across our investment banking and retail banking business using AI. That's one example. The other example I could think of is reimagining client support for our investment and retail banking business using AI. So that's the first focus area. Second focus area for us is AI for back office. Here we are reimagining some of our capital markets and credit back offices using AI. The third focus for us is AI for regulatory compliance. We all know that data quality, data management is very cardinal to regulators, be it the European Central Bank or the French regulator or the UK regulator or the Federal Reserve or the Asian regulators. We are trying to reimagine the entire data tapestry using AI, using generative AI. That's the third focus area. And the fourth focus area for us is AI for tech. Here we're trying to infuse AI to bolster developer productivity. That's in a way the four main focus areas. Substantial part of SocGen AI's work happens out of India, and substantial part of the banking operations is based in India. So we play a key role in reimagining many of these business processes, and we are going to be favorably.
Right. And as co-CEO, what's the current biggest challenge that you're navigating?
The current challenge is, onboarding the business folks onto AI and helping them sort of reimagine the business processes using AI. So that's indeed a big challenge.
Rajesh, coming to you. Of course, Kenvue is perhaps the newest entity, as far as GCCs are concerned here on this panel today. Give us a sense of, what's happening, where is it headed, what are some of the innovative things that you are doing from Kenvue India, and what should we be expecting in the next, near short-term future for now?
Consumer is in the center for everything that Kenvue does, with a brand which are as rich as more than 135 years old, and obviously the products being consumed in more than 160 plus countries, of course. So there is always one entity which is common in our mind, which is consumer health, and obviously the exceptional value delivery to our customers. Now, with that sense in mind, obviously, one tagline and our mission and purpose is extraordinary power of everyday care. Now, obviously, we are, looking forward to obviously continue to invest not only in the Kenvue business, but from a GCC point of view as well. How do we continue to harness the power of, the brands which are as rich, of course, as 135 years old and being consumed in so many geographies and countries to give that, continue to enhance those products for those countries and marketplace and everything. And then using the data that obviously is at our disposal. And again, some of the other panelists have spoken about this as well. So, we constantly look at sort of 4 Ps, and this is my 4 Ps that, of course, I've coined: preventive, proactive, predictive, and personalization. The way the overall, I would say, digital healthcare industry is obviously shaping up, and Kenvue is one part of course, from a consumer healthcare perspective. It is all about how do we continue to make things as personalized for the consumer as possible. How do we make, using a lot of sensor-based data, using a lot of, the IoT data which is available to us? How do we continue to leverage the AIs and the Gen AIs, and there are so many other AIs waiting to be invented, what exactly we can do to make things as personalized and predictive as possible, so that there is less focus on sort of recovery and more in terms of how we can do to enhance the life of a consumer. And preventive, what can we do to actually make sure that all these things come together to make things as preventive for the customer. So from a GCC point of view, yes, we are plugged into the overall the business roadmap and obviously the mission of the whole sort of an organization, in terms of how do we use these principles, how do we use these missions, and how do we use the data, the whole fulcrum, and create a mini ecosystem from a GCC, where the technology teams, the business teams, the overall R&D facilities and supply chain team all continue to come together and create a product or a solution and an offering to the customer, which in the end makes our consumer healthy, and obviously make our deliver our exceptional value to our customers, and continue to meet the vision and the purpose which that senior leadership team is always looking forward to. Our journey has just started, obviously just a couple of years in the making, but promise is pretty large, because obviously we are looking at the vast amount of data that we have and what is actually can be created out of that, which is in the long run justifies those 4 P's that I mentioned. So they are part of my principle.
Sujit, coming to you now, Snowflake is pretty much an enabler of these businesses and many more, of course, globally. As a data platform provider, give us a sense of, look at the macro trends. What are some of the big shifts? What are some of the new ways that you are observing in which companies, tech leaders are really using Gen AI now to scale innovation? What has your recent experience been with some of the, industry leaders from various sectors?
Sure, Mridu. You've asked the billion-dollar question for GCCs. But some of the trends that we're seeing and where we see GCC customers, global customers investing is, one is, I think, we're working towards bringing AI to the data rather than the other way around. Because taking data to different AI models is cumbersome, it's complex, and it's also expensive and time consuming. So I think one of the biggest opportunities that customers are working on is to bring the AI to the data. And, platforms like ours help do that, help you bring and unify your data in a single place. Another key element that customers are looking at is, we see AI projects have been operating as pilots and POCs. I think now it's getting to a stage where there is appetite for enterprise adoption of those. So that's a path that a lot of customers are working on. There's also democratization of AI, which is where low code or no code methodologies are being adopted to develop quicker and faster and more accurately. The other key element is around governance and security, because all of this needs to be in an environment where you're assured of the security and you have governance is built into it, with also industry compliance kicking in, right? And then I think the other piece is where customers are trying to harness a diverse ecosystem of large language models for them to build their AI capability. So I think these are some of the top trends that we are seeing that customers are trying to work with, and we also are working with customers to deal with a lot of these challenges.
Vishal, coming to you now, BSH, of course, has a very strong manufacturing DNA. How are you utilizing AI, automation, Gen AI on the factory floors to really streamline processes, to really improve your operational efficiencies, your productivity of the staff on the work floor, and perhaps, safety and sustainability angle also, if you can add to that? Give us a sense of what's really happening on the factory floor of today.
On the factory, on the shop floor. So we have multiple, again, there's a lot of data that's constantly being spinned out, right? In the past, just to give you an example of how long it takes for us to bring a product out on the production line, in less than 30 seconds, we can actually have a product out. About 29 seconds, I think a washing machine is out. And in factories where we haven't enabled AI to the complete extent, we take about less than a minute, 59 seconds, and it's out. So imagine the power of what AI can do if we are leveraging the data. So there are a lot of...
And if I may interrupt you and ask you, what was that timeline like before you had AI on the...
Well, I wouldn't really know exactly, but definitely I'll tell you from a factory which is not completely tech-enabled today, or AI-enabled today, it's about 59 seconds. And the one which is enabled is about 20-odd seconds. So it's almost half the time, right? So it's a 50% good cut. And there's a lot of these AI-related tools that we're using, which is we have AI shop floor analyzers, which basically takes data from various of our systems and then comes back and tells saying, where can you optimize, where can you increase efficiencies? When we do quality checks, we actually use computer vision to come back and tell saying, does it need a human intervention all the time? Where on the production line can we use these CV-based, computer vision-based tools that just kind of does it automatically, right? The amount of time that we currently need to transfer systems between our products, between various elements within the shop floor, even that's completely optimized. We have just-in-time solutions as well. So it's a lot of AI that's currently being used that integrated, as he said, also IoT. So I'll give you another example. Few of the ovens that we currently have. Imagine having a camera in the oven and then expecting it to not moist because of the cooking that's currently happening, right? So all of this, and coming to your question about sustainability, so this is where I'll kind of weave in to say that we have products which are actually first experimented through 3D modeling. We ensure that the kind of material that we're using in building these products are, in the past we used to have a lot of chemically infused raw materials, but it's all now bio-based plastic materials. We're very clear that we should reduce the emissions, we should improve the resource utilization, and we should have a better climate in future, right? So with all of this, AI data is being used right at the point of the raw materials, the kind of raw materials to be used, to the point of saying, how do you experiment with 3D printing, building out the entire products at the prototype level? How do you infuse that further with these future digital technologies and build out products?
Ganesh, bringing you into that conversation as well now, like Vishal is saying, AI, Gen AI, getting embedded into products, into workflows. Of course, security and trust become really, really important there. So at Bosch, what are some of those top 2 or 3 guardrails that you have in place that are perhaps absolutely mandatory before you greenlight any Gen AI scale up within the organization?
I'll answer that, but I would like to extend upon what Vishal touched. I think it's very interesting, if it is okay.
Yes, of course.
Right, I think if you look at the India story, right, 50,000 GPUs that we have close to. Elon Musk himself has close to 100,000 more, I think close to 1 million, if I'm not wrong, because the data is not available in public, right? And that is the difference in parity. And when you look at the AI, today AI is a shiny object syndrome, right? So should we go to everything to AI? CPU versus GPU is the decision rational we have to take. I have a super Ferrari. Should I take you to buy a milk next door in Bangalore traffic, right? Or should I go for a cruise in the national highway? So there's a simple decision rational, right? And we wanted to go towards AI first organization. And as the topic is data circle, right? So we have 4 circles within the bigger circle of PGSW. The B is business, and F is function, and A is associates, the people, and the V is the value streams, because value streams is the one which cuts across. So you can bracket or bucket anything, any business model in these 4 circles when you look at it, right? And to give the context of data circle. Now, how AI can really be part of this 4 circle when you look at it, be it quadrant based or be it sector based, be it diameter based or radius based. That is exactly what we are trying to repivot and see how we exist. So I would like to put it in this way to extend the first point. We exist, and we will exist because of AI. And that's the way I would like to see it, number one. And number two, from the guardrails, right? It's a very important point, because guardrails gives 2 things, right? So one is to do the right things in the right way. And number 2, what we are not supposed to do, right? Because AI is too powerful. And whether we like it or not, unlike steam, unlike computer revolution, unlike the 4 industrial revolution that we have had in the past, this is going to be completely different, right? And this is really going to be part of each and every part. This human and things are going to connect. When you see it in simple way, connecting business, process, things, and people across intelligently is what is going to do when you look at the stream. So now guardrails are very important at all touch points, what we should do, what we should not do. And of course, we wanted to aim for having AI co-workers, right, among the employees. And today, if you look at it, we have hundreds of agents deployed within the PGSW, and we're also marking towards having an AI foundry. Having said that, we have a global compliance model or a framework. We also have a local governing framework which encompasses what we are supposed to do as best practices, what we are not supposed to do. I think we spend more time on crafting what we are not supposed to do because that gives clarity on how do we take, because all the open source models are available. Can we just replace it here? Answer is no. Anything for enterprise, we all will agree because we all have a legacy, right? Vishal is our bachelor, and we have Rajesh and we have Ranjeet, right? You're all from legacy of more than 100 years of legacy that we have. We have a lot of things to lose if we don't do it carefully. So guardrails is definitely quintessential. And second, at the same time, should we compromise the speed by having the fear factor? So we have a simple model, reversible and irreversible. Wherever the irreversibility is high, think 2 times, think 3 times before you venture. For example, if I want to put accounts receivable and accounts payable, can I make autonomous AI in this? It is highly irreversible. If something goes wrong, it's legality. It will have a fiduciary responsibility on this. So I would take a pause and not do. Safety programming for the ADAS that we do, can we write a safety programming using AI? Yes, because human in loop, human in control. And that gives us more flexibility to understand because we have 27 years of engineering expertise within, right? So that is the area where we will just go with full gung-ho. And third is, for example, we are the first one to integrate OpenAI is, by the way, is our partner. We have an OpenAI enterprise. So we all know ChatGPT, right? So how do we integrate ChatGPT for all the data, talk to data? So we are the first one to connect our enterprise data lake towards OpenAI enterprise. If something goes wrong on decision making, we already have a statutory reporting. So we have the reversibility is quite sooner. The loss is minimal, and the opportunity cost of not doing it is being regressive. Let's progress. So that's a simple decision rationale that we have, where to go, where to not go, and what to do, how to do. But it's very clearly articulated in the framework. And answer to your question, to summarize, yes, guardrails are there. Second, where to use, what to use, and how do we make the decision rational is something we have a robust framework aligning with both DPDP and also European Union Act, because that's going to be very complex. And we being the parent
You have to be
organization
GDPR
being in
compliant
Germany,
as well.
we have to be ultra careful in articulating the way we wanted to head towards the governance.
Maybe if I can add
Understood.
that before
Yes,
you ask a
please.
question. So obviously, that's important because the DPDP, and of course, in our case, from a consumer healthcare point of view, even things like HIPAA come into picture as well. So obviously, all those things, need, absolutely in a position where nothing can be compromised. They absolutely have to be sacrosanct. And then what's the problem we are trying to solve? So like he said, the Gen AI and AI, are we doing it because somebody else is doing, my neighbor is doing it, or is there any real problem that we are trying to solve here from a Gen AI? And again, Gen AI does not just come because you start thinking about it. You need to have a very strong, robust foundational data. You need to have a pretty strong, robust process AI. And now people have started to throw the agentic AI layers on top of that as well. So I think there are a lot of things which are in the air, but fundamentally the business have to be strong enough. Fundamentally, the consumer data, privacy, laws, acts, regional, global, they have to be at the sacrosanct. Bringing all of them together while continue to create the value is what the real flavor of Gen AI should bring in. Not just because A is doing it, B is doing it, I need to do that to look like a very cool, kid in the block, of course. So my two kids are obviously what you were saying.
Yes,
Absolutely.
you're
So we,
absolutely right. And if I can, just add on a question to that for you, as far as consumer healthcare is concerned, where do you see AI making the biggest impact? Is it going to be improving patient care? Is it going to be, driving smarter operations, better productivity of healthcare professionals, maybe breakthrough product development? As a leader of consumer healthcare, where do you see AI making the first biggest impact?
So again, I'll continue to go back to simple four philosophies of those four P's. Again, where the AI can take, obviously shape and then take the leapfrog in this whole journey is how do we make things more personalized for the patients? Because again, today there are like 8.5 billion population in the world. So one tablet obviously cannot be a silver solution for obviously every kind of an individual in every market. Specifically when you're operating in more than 100 countries and obviously a lot of markets, how can you even personalize based on what that person's genome structure is, what that person's obviously past and backgrounds and demographics is. So this is where, of course, AI has a huge potential in terms of how do we personalize things. Second thing is how do we, we have so much of data now, IoT related data, sensor based data, past data, medical data, non-medical data. How do we bring that all together to make sure that we have the predictive model of what potentially can go wrong? And obviously all of us are having sensor based watches, all, smart watches or sure. So how exactly we can make sure that we alert the patient before, in the potential patient, to see what is essentially should happen to that person from a preventive point of view, and again from proactive point of view, what exactly can happen so that there is a less loss of life, there is a less impact to the long term damages to the health of a consumer, right? So this is where I see when we really marry the data points together, when we really see the medical algorithms together, when we bring some of these cutting edge the inventions these leaders are talking about, how do we marry to make sure that we achieve the goals of those 4 P's that I'm talking about? That's going to be the next crucial breakthrough. And of course, the wearable. I just spoke about the wearables. How these wearables can act as our ready doctors for us, who at least will not treat us for now. At least they can actually tell us what exactly is going wrong in the body. Already, a lot of big things are happening from BPs and heart rate and those things. And again, they are saving a lot of. And again, I'm not necessarily naming Apple here, but of course, we have seen how Apple watches and Apple phones have actually alerted people that something is going wrong in your body, and then something is needed. But there is a lot more that needs to happen to make sure it goes to the larger masses, not just remains restricted to the privileged and the rich ones, of course. So that is one area. From an operations point of view, Mridu, what I feel is, of course, with all these technology breakthroughs, how the supply chain optimizations can happen, how the factories can be obviously become the smart factories, which obviously mean the faster time to market, number one, doing more for less, which is an operational efficiency. And in fact, how exactly this can become more modular, because what a factory today could produce one kind of a product, and all of a sudden the business diversifies into another business model, how that factory can become and immediately a factory for the second type. And I'm sure these leaders obviously deal with this kind of a problem all the time, right? So those kind of things, of course, based on the data, based on the business paradigm, based on the changing dynamics of consumer behavior and experiences, I think the factories will definitely continue to become more smarter, more efficient, and obviously the wearable technologies and the breakthrough in the data and marrying things together, and with a huge compute power at our disposal, which was not the case in the previous decades, and with partners like Snowflakes and all that. I think those things are definitely going to help us in terms of how do we take this whole thing for the betterment for the for the human mankind. And that is where I see the next decade also belongs to. And this is where my pitch to GCCs are obviously look at those opportunities. When we say we are going to be an innovation center or we are going to be transformation center, what are you transforming? What are you innovating? If you're not transforming, which is going to the larger social masses, that's not going to be, I mean, that's going to be good for the business, no doubt about that, but that's going to be causing a socially relevant impact at all. I think that is where my message to the GCC leaders largely is. Keep looking at those larger socially relevant messages.
It's
Right,
very
right.
interesting. I just wanted to
Quickly
continue,
add to that. Yeah.
if it is okay with
Yes,
you.
yes.
Okay, see, two submissions, right? Because Rajesh touched upon, from the business standpoint, from the role I play, right? Being the CIO, CDO of BGSW, if you look at it, right? How do we measure AI? And AI is going to add cost when you look at it, right, to your bottom line. And can we do the value immediately? Answer is no. So it's a journey, as I said, now, next, and new. So you have to maintain the now and slowly transit towards next and transform towards new. And you have to do everything together, right? It is extremely difficult. It's not easy. How do you, if somebody asks, if the board asks, what is the value proposition? How do we measure? It's the biggest challenge. I think we have to face it together. So we have a simple framework called Triple E framework. Either you experience, efficiency, or economic value. The value has to be either of these three put together. Tangible is economic value, where we repurpose the people towards the upper part of the value chain, where you have thinking, operating, and doing. Can the doing get into thinking, or can the doing plus thinking join together, or can it go up the value chain? That is one. And second part, when you look at the AI first journey, how are we reimagining ourselves, right? Is the current processes going to exist, or we're going to have the short circuit process? It might be from the business value chain, it might be from the functional value chain. Either of this, what is it we are going to eliminate? These three things are very important.
So when you say experience, are you referring only to consumer experience or to employee experience?
Employee experience, partner experience, customer experience. It's a holistic experience when you look at it. It cannot be one, because people are the core essential, which is a very important part in the entire
All the
value
humans
chain.
of the
All the
ecosystem.
humans of
Okay.
it. So not only human in loop, human in control, human in consumption. So I
Right.
think it's a holistic way to look at it.
Right.
And I think in order to submit, right, in this context, right, I would like to submit in this way, AI first only will be successful if you are able to create a new experience, because you cannot change the system of records. System of records is a legacy from the IT standpoint, from the digital standpoint. It's a technical debt. You can't refresh it. I can't change SAP every year. If it is there at least for 10 years, I need to keep it. I can't change the capex immediately because of AI. Then comes a system of integration and engagement. And then comes a system of experience. And I can really bring in AI from a system of experience standpoint. But it is very difficult for me to go down, right? Actually, people say shift left. Here, I should shift right towards the value chain. And that is how we can really manage the cost, manage the experience, at the same time create value. And to be honest, AI hallucinates. We have to be very careful from the guardrail.
Can I just add a little more there?
Yes.
I think I like what both of you alluded to.
Are you adding to the hallucinations?
No, not to the early stage, but I'll tell you what, I think while you're so focused on about the outcomes and the outputs, right? And that's what you were going on saying. I think for me, it also, just to kind of double click on that, it is also about how we GCCs are actually shaping the markets, right? How we kind of evolving new business revenue lines. Doesn't matter where the business is, where we're headquartered, but I think we have that amount of capability here today that we can shape the market for any kind of premiumization that we can do in the product space that we currently have.
Absolutely. And Ranjeet, bringing you into that conversation as well. Of course, financial services, hugely regulated, a lot of governance to be put in place. How do you navigate or how do you walk the tightrope between innovation and regulation? And, at your organization, what are some of those top 2 or 3 principles that you follow that allow speed, agility? So, how do you really walk that tightrope?
Yes, Mridu, it is indeed one of our top challenge, and we are heavily regulated. There's a whole deal of transparency, auditability, and reversibility that we will have to put in place. At the bank level, we have triggered 3 major initiatives, or we're focusing on 3 things. One is when it comes to AI, we are slowly but systematically converging towards a common AI engineering platform so that we bring in a whole deal of transparency and auditability.
And this is out of India for the entire
Out of
global
India,
office?
built for the globe. Yeah. So
Wonderful.
that's one focus area. The second focus area for us is, at the bank level, we have created what we call as AI authority, because everything that we do is very heavily regulated. So this AI authority ensures that risks of all the models and the AI agents that we're building are carefully assessed before something gets productionized, right? That's the second thing that we're doing. And the third thing that we're doing is responding to European Union's AI Act, right? The a whole lot of adherence that we have to put in place. So we're trying to build a very harmonized framework that will respond to the AI Act. So these are the 3 things that we're doing.
Sujit, sitting here in Bengaluru, I can't help but throw in a startup related question. So, startups, academia, alliances, all of these are very, very critical for innovation. Nobody is operating in a silo anymore. We are in the era of collaboration. So, give us a sense of, how Snowflake bridges some of these worlds to infuse new ideas, particularly for the GCC markets.
I'll start by saying that Snowflake recognizes that all of these players in the ecosystem are very, very important for business growth and more relevant to the growth in India that we're seeing, right? Our CEO announced this program, which is called 1 Million Minds plus One Platform. Essentially, the objective behind it was to ensure that we are able to, upskill students and professionals, 1 million of them across the world, on AI and AI related subjects. And a big chunk of that 1 million sits in India, and they sit in GCC. So that's another big initiative that you will see. We've already, started that journey. And I work with a lot of the organizations, including the ones here with me, in driving that enablement and upskilling. We, of course, have programs that we've signed up with academia, and this becomes a part of that initiative as well. We have strategic partnerships with a lot of the global SIs, and they really come into play when they want to extend what we provide as a platform, where they are able to then build IP on top of it or extend the usage for, domain specific, to solve domain specific problems or opportunities. And that's why that ecosystem, the partner ecosystem, is also extremely important for us. And we're making systematic and very conscious investments in all of these areas.
Ganesh, at Bosch, also your Bengaluru campus is, of course, a test bed for, experimentation, for digital solutions, for new ways of working. So, give us a sense of how alliances, collaborations, partnerships play a role when you are looking at a data-led innovation coming out of the Bengaluru stable, particularly.
I think it's a no-brainer question if you look at it. Namma Bengaluru is really the host of many innovations if you look at it. And it's so proud to be here that we have definitely a lion's share in the GDP export of IT services, right? And that's a really a proud moment, eureka moment for all of us. To answer your question, I think we are partners with almost all the hyperscalers, and also I think centrally we are partnered with Snowflakes and all the biggies that you name it. And I think in that way we have a large ecosystem. And from a partnership standpoint, we have with all the ISVs, hyperscalers, and the SIs also, because they bring both innovation, technology, and scale, which is a very strategic advantage where we can ramp up, ramp down, and also we can learn from this ecosystem, right? And Bangalore also has a lot of access to startups. So we're also talking to a lot of startups, because BGSW itself is a large startup when you look at it, encompassing 30 plus talent, 30 plus associates across India.
At 27 years, you can't be a startup.
Yes, that's why we wanted to call it as a large startup, because we are repivoting ourselves every 3 years, and we have a very strategic flagship program run by our board, which is called as Fit for Future, right? And that program is really, we live by that. It's a DNA program that we have. So how can we really be a startup at the same time take care of the future standpoint operating now? So it's a vehicle of change. Having said that, I think startup is also something where we integrate very closely. We work very closely to understand how the AI is really going to be from a startup standpoint, because we get pointed solutions, and it's too difficult for us to get it. It's rather we go and get the best practice out of a startup is another area,
Right.
both for internal consumption and also being part of our existing operating model. So that's the way we are trying to.
Yeah. But beyond the bottom line, what is one success metric that you watch very closely when it comes to having partners?
As I told you, the value can be economic value, experience value,
Okay.
efficiency value.
The triple
and-
E.
Yes, triple E, and we have a very logical and scientific framework. Right, you just enter the touch points that you have, you can see the value, and you can really double click and see what is tangible, what is intangible in it. So you want to really be scientific in giving it. Otherwise, it's very difficult to articulate the investment. And return on investment is beaten, but return on value is the new way to work for it.
That's well
I
said.
just want to add to what he said. I think so. The beauty of this geography of us, right, is we are obviously the largest talent workforce available when it comes to technology. We are the GCC capital of the world. We're talking about the third largest startup ecosystem that's available here. And then when you add the other elements of vendor ecosystem, partner ecosystem, right? You're actually thriving in this particular geography to kind of just ignite ideas, right? To inspire even ideas. Like what you said is one is the outcome, or one you measure success through that. Sometimes it's about what are some ideas that you also get because you have access to all of this in your backyard, right? I think that's that's been one of the major intrinsic value of why it has to be India also for GCCs. I'll give you one more just a drawing example to it is. We are located in a place in one of the location where we have our vendors, our SIs, all just across. Probably, I mean, of course, traffic is a problem in Bangalore, but if you can reach them in 10 minutes, why not have those co-curated sessions? Why don't you have those, ideathons, hackathons that we're able to now leverage a lot more easily in India, in Bangalore? So I think it's kind of multiplying ideas, trying to bring out solutions, whether it goes down the production stream or no, but at least we've been able to ignite those ideas within the talent workforce.
Well, we are running out of time, so I'm going to come to all of you with a quick closing question on, if you could visualize a flagship innovation coming out of your respective Bengaluru centers, say in the next 5 years or so, what would that look like for your organization? Or perhaps if you want to broaden it out to just looking at your sector, we can, accept that as well. And Ganesh, why don't we start with you?
For me, it is AI first enterprise. That's the only way I think I look at it. So that's my
And
submission.
you see that coming out of Bengaluru for your
Coming out of
global
Bengaluru, coming out
offices.
of BGSW. So how an AI first native organization looks like.
Okay. Ranjeet?
Mridu, I would say few intelligent business platforms for the bank and the industry.
Intelligent business platforms coming up.
The digital first and driving the science of brand growth, which is obviously the part of our mission and charter statement to be driven out of Kenvue Solutions India, which is our GCC.
All right.
I
Vishal?
think for me, it's more about driving transformation charters from India, spinning up new business revenue lines, and shaping the markets in the premium segment.
All right. And Sujit, a different one for you. Consider we are in 2030. And what's one big change that you think we will see in the way data is used that'll define the next wave of innovation for GCCs in India?
From a vantage point of, let's say, 2030, I think today we are at a data-driven theme as far as lots of the GCCs operating here is. I think by 2020, it'll become an AI-centric operating model, which means AI will get infused into everything that they're doing. So the transition from data-driven to AI-centric is what I see will happen by 2030.
All right. AI-centric business and lives, I believe, by 2030 for sure. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here on the Data Circle today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
here.
Thank you for having us.
Well, as we've heard through this conversation, the innovation story of global capability centers is no longer about cost or scale. It's also about leadership, value creation, and global competitiveness. Whether it's AI, data platforms, or next-gen talent, the common thread is clear. India's GCCs are poised to lead the world in enterprise transformation. Thank you very much for joining us here on the Data Circle today. Until next time, it's goodbye.
Forbes India, the Data Circle, India's Changemakers, presented by Snowflake.